What's good, YouTube and Twitch? We're live to both with a video discussion that I find pretty entertaining. The top 10 cards that steal or use your opponent's cards to beat them in the face with. And in our honorable mentions are two ban cards, because we're going to go by today's metagame and today's standards. So Change of Heart and Snatch Steal used to terrorize the dueling world, but we've gone years and years, almost 20 years past their inception. So we've come a long way and have a lot of different cards that are gonna do similar things. And in our number 10 position is another oldie, Enemy Controller. This actually resurged recently with another YouTuber, Blade YGO, using this within Salomon Greats to stymie his opponent's plays. Enemy Controller has been iconic from plant format and earlier for being able to use its secondary ability to tribute one monster, target an opponent's face-up monster, and take control of it till the end phase. Nowadays, whenever you're doing that, you can not only interrupt their plays after the normal summon, so they need extenders to continue, but if you use it offensively in the main phase 2, after like going in the battle phase, attacking, tributing one of your monsters, taking their monster, and going in, you can then use it for link summon fodder or Xyz material. So Enemy Controller edges its way in the number 10 spot on this list. And our number 9 spot is Time Thief Redoer. A lot of people don't think about how this actually uses the opponent's cards, but being able to snatch cards from the top of the opponent's decks and use them as Xyz materials allows him to have different effects. So if you're playing against a Sutff deck, the trap effect allows you to place a face-up card your opponent controls on top of their deck, kind of retaliating against how they're trying to set up. Against spells, whenever he equips them, he gets to draw a card, so he gets advantage off that. And many decks are monster heavy, which allows him to tag out, ensuring that he's living another turn. Whatever you're grabbing from your opponent, it's going to make him even a little more useful. In our number 8 position, we have Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. This card was used several times within meta play, including Cyber Dragon decks that were able to top YCSs. So he can use any cards within the extra monster zones to help fusion summon, thus getting you out of the not so popular anymore extra link where the opponent would take both of the extra monster zones and try to lock you out of using them. So this would just go bloop, and all of them are gone, and you have a pretty beefy boy as he gains 1200 attack per fusion material, and all he takes is a Cyber Dragon and then those monsters, or one monster. I think this is a really good way to be able to clear problem cards, and it speaks for itself that it found its way even into decks like Altergeist, teching Cyber Dragon in 2019. But in our number 7 position is a card that a lot of people forget actually take the opponent's cards because it's more famous for its negation and advantage properties. Totally awesome. Whatever you are negating, spell, trap, or monster effect, whenever you are destroying it, you're able to set it to your field. So if a trap card tries to retaliate and force the negate, or even if they're using a draw card, you can take that card and make it your own power. Now, sometimes the cards are moving places to where you can no longer destroy them and you're not able to take it. That's why it kind of gets forgotten along the way. But this is an amazing ability to not only stop your opponent's plays, but then take their cards and use them against them. In our number 6 position, we have a new card, Crackdown. This card was called Manhunt in the OCG, and it activates by targeting a face-up monster your opponent controls. You just take control of the monster. So we've come full circle to where this wasn't okay, but now doing it as a quick play is okay. Now, it does stop the opponent from being able to attack or activate the effects, but here in 2019, we're able, again, to use those monsters as link materials and just get rid of them off the field after already being able to react and stop the opponent's plays without having to tribute a card or anything either. This card definitely is on another level, and we're going to see it in a ton of stun decks and decks like True Draco as well. In our number, I believe we're in our 5 position, sorry, doing this live, we have an oldie here. Maybe the oldest one that makes the actual list. No, there's one older. Thousand Eyes Restrict. So, within any metagame, I feel like Instant Fusion becomes viable. And thus, you have Thousand Eyes Restrict and the newer Millennium Eyes Restrict as options for Instant Fusion. Being able to hit the field, force a problem if something on the field is able to negate it, or just take one of your opponent's cards and then link it up into something like Link Karibo, thus getting it off the field completely and allowing you to continue your turn, freeing your extra monster zone with a downward arrow. Thousand Eyes Restrict has found kind of a funny place back off of the forbidden list it once was within our metagame, being summoned for just 1,000 life points by a cup of noodles. And our number 4 position is a pretty meta-relevant card in one of the top decks, Sky Striker Widow Anchor. You can choose not to take the card, you can choose just to negate the opponent's monster's effect. But if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can decide to just negate those effects, or take control of the monster till the end phase. So, being a quick play spell, you're able to not only just draw it and activate it on your own turn, you can also set it and make it lay in wait to just decide when you want to do those effects. Now, within Sky Strikers, though, taking that monster will usually shut off the rest of your Sky Striker cards, as you can't have a monster in the main monster zone to activate these cards. So there is a drawback in how it takes and uses the opponent's monster, so you have to be a little more careful with it than the other cards on the list, which puts it behind the next 3. And our number 3 position is BORRELOAD Dragon. Oh my gosh, I think the funniest thing to see is a BORRELOAD attack a BORRELOAD and take a BORRELOAD so that BORRELOAD attacks another monster and takes it. Whenever a BORRELOAD is left out on the field, it feels like that happens way too much within the metagame. He also has an effect where you cannot respond to it at all. You can target one face-up monster on the field, it loses 500 attack and defense. So a cool battle trick is Mirror Force. That's a relevant revolver card as well, right? You say attack your opponent, and upon your attack declaration, your turn player, as the turn player, you say, I'd like to start a chain, and use the effect to make a card lose 500 attack and defense. Since your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this, they'll lose their window for attack declaration cards such as Mirror Force, and then you can still decide to take their cards at the start of damage step. So BORRELOAD, tons of cool tricks for being able to take your opponent's cards and beat their face in with them. And our number 2 position is the oldest card on the list. Starter deck Yugi and Kaiba, Monster Reborn. We've seen this have so many amazing moments in the show, but we're at a point where Monster Reborn is back in the metagame, and I forget how many times you don't have the resources. You look at everything your opponents use, and you're like, Monster Reborn, I'm going to use what you were using to link summon into things with, and I'm just going to take it. Now, for extra deck monsters, they of course have to have properly hit the field and that sort of thing, but Monster Reborn just insanely powerful that you can pick and choose any of your opponent's cards that you've sent to the graveyard. So the funnier thing is, I've already dealt with your problem card, but now I'm going to take it and you're going to have to deal with it, is one of my favorite things about Monster Reborn. And our number 1 position is actually not a card that's taking cards, but in a surprise twist is using them for fusion material. Super Polymerization is a card similar to BORRELOAD that cannot be responded to, period, when it is being activated. You cannot even negate the activation with something like Solemn Judgment. The card that says no to everything can't say no to this card. You discard a card, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either field as a material. So they become part of your power, and you can even use the Predaplant engine to end up searching this, and the Predaplants have a card that generically uses dark monsters to summon that you can use Super Polymerization for. But outside of that, this is now at 3, unlimited within the game, and you can bet it's going to cause a lot of heck on the dueling field. Some honorable mentions. Invocation just felt like a weaker version of Super Polymerization when making this list, because while you do often use your opponent's materials from graveyard to make your cards, this being able to sweep them off the field just seems like such more of a worthy point of this list. Brain Control got an errata, and while it was fearsome from its days on the forbidden list, it's just not used anymore at all. Mind Control did see recent meta play within the Trickstar and Invoked format, and that was pretty cool to actually see going second decks using Mind Control to take problem cards and end up linking them away, but it's pretty much a non-factor during this current metagame. And of course, everybody wanted me to shout out from the Dragon Ruler format, Big Eye, the original like Xyz that's just like, your card, my card now. I think that was pretty cool that you have this card that just causes such terror and punishes like cards that are left out that your opponent wants to use, and now you're getting to use them. But there's a ton of cards within Yu-Gi-Oh! That end up, you know, taking your opponent's cards and using them against them. Like, I thought about putting the Monarch Storm 4th on this list, and it just barely didn't make it. What are some cards that you might have put on this list and that you all would have enjoyed seeing? Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. Use my TCG Player link if you're ever shopping TCG Player. It supports me without costing you anything extra. A great way to support the channel, and thank you so much for watching.